So today we're going to break down what has come out, what's the breaking news in the last few years. There are now Neocaridina shrimps in color patterns we never thought would be stable 5 or 6 years ago even. There are double color shrimp, there are tricolor shrimp, there are clear, dark, and medium different colors of shrimp in the really types of shrimp or Riley shrimp. There are shrimp that have just their heads with color or just their tails with color. And there are shrimp with back lines as well as shrimp with yellow eyes or orange eyes known as the demon eye. And we're going to talk about where these came from, what's going on, where you can find them, and what they look like, obviously, all right now. There are charts that are about 10, 15 years old now that are all over the internet that you've probably seen about Caridina and Neocaridina shrimp. Well, today I am going to fill out the newest pieces to that chart. We have some new mutations, including bright yellow tiger eyes. Sometimes they're called demon eyes. In fact, Michael Haesler, the guy in Germany, Deutschland, who first really popularized these and won the International German Shrimp Competition several years back, he introduced a bright green jade shrimp, which is a hard color to isolate and pop, make look really good in Neocaridina. For a long time, we didn't have a stable green line. Well, now we have a stable green line, but not only that, he bred into that green line flaming orange and golden eyes. And he's figured out that that gene is independent of the color on the rest of the shrimp. So now we have these new morphs, we have these new traits that we're able to cross in with the existing Neocaridina genetics. And that means there is the wild palmata, there is the wild zengagensis, and there is the wild davidi. All three are Neocaridinas, and even though shrimp breeders tried to kind of hide all of this from us for a long time, now the proof is in the pudding in the genetics. Also, transparency is at its all-time high point because people are willing to pay 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 grand for these shrimp when they win these international competitions. And because of this, people can then freely say, I am the one who had the mutation in this line, and no, it's not some new shrimp that I collected from the wild that you'll never find, so don't try to copy me. No, instead now they can say, yeah, it's just really rare. Good luck ever trying to have this mutation. And so short of in Asia, where they have massive farms with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these shrimp being bred in different color morphs and just hoping for some new color trait or pattern to show up, sometimes you just get a lucky breeder. And in the case of the line breeding going on in Germany, which has been top-notch for decades now, we have over 35 years of Neocaridinas being selected, bred, made hardier and hardier, and now they are just about the hardiest shrimp you can get in this hobby. And Neocaridina shrimp are my favorite shrimp because they can do the best in the most different water parameters that are out there. You can have downright liquid rock and a high pH of 8.2 and have a red Neocaridina shrimp look just as marvelous as someone who has 6.5 pH and acidic water. So this overall ruggedness that has been bred into the Neocaridina species is not only because of the species being tougher inherently, it's because it's one of the first shrimp that was bred into the hobby. The cherry shrimp, as we know it, was really the first shrimp to take off as a fully colorful freshwater shrimp in our hobby. Now, there were tangerine tiger shrimp, there were babalti and zebra shrimp, there were amano shrimp, and other shrimp out there, and I have whole videos on the domestication of those shrimp and that 35 to 40 year process that has gone on in the hobby simultaneous to these Neocaridinas. But now my videos that have some of the most views of any videos on this channel to track down the genetics behind the line. So to find out which wild shrimp in the Neocaridina group and which collection point or color collection point came and what was first, and then what evolved from there, what mutation happened next, and the traits that were selected for by breeders that then lead us to our domesticated lines. You can see this with the red variety of shrimp really clearly, but I want to show you guys the charts for every color of Neocaridina, so let's get into it. Alright, to talk about Neocaridina shrimp, or any fancy shrimp that have the bright colors and the patterns we see in our hobby that look so very cool, we need to go back to selecting our root lines, or basically what were the wild types of shrimp that were selected, and all of our color morphs come from there. And in the case of most shrimp, be it Caridina or Babalti or Neocaridina, they have to come from their same genus. So only Caridina can breed with other Caridina as a general rule, and some of them can't even breed with each other. Whereas Neocaridina, as a general rule, can breed with other Neocaridina species. So we see Palmata, Davidi, and Zangzengensis as the three main species of Neocaridina in the hobby. And just like any individual in a population may have different looks and different patterns and different colors. Just like we get different eye color, different hair color, we get the same variety in shrimp. And a lot of it has to do with where they're collected from. Do they need to blend in with grass all day? And so they have more green and more line work and things like that that allow them to utilize natural camouflage. Well, it has been these lines that people have selected from. Now, once they select this line, they may find an individual that happens to have a good amount of red dots on them, but it looks absolutely nothing like the end result. So I just needed to go over this with you guys, and if you want to see all the details of how all these different colors are made, I'll be pointing out today with the turkey baster of destiny, all the things going on these charts. But in my other video, I also go over each color, and it's not always as straightforward as like mixing paints. You don't necessarily mix a blue over here with a yellow over here and end up with, green as your in-between. No, here they actually got green as a mutant from an orange and a yellow cross, and also green came out of some wild palmatas crossed with some yellows, as well as some of the orange red cherries. So you can learn all about those details in my other videos, which there are 3 of and are updated in order as we got the genetic information over the last decade. But I'll let those be, and I'll link them in the description down below. Today, what we really care about is that this is more or less the family tree that we know and love. I'm going to use this one for now because this is an open source one. Here, though, you can see that this one has all the different grades of red. It's got the red really. It's got the blue and red really. It's got sakura or different grades. And there's actually, 5 different grades of red shrimp that were amongst popular types of cherry shrimp at one point. But now the quality has gotten so good and the pigmentation so dense that really we only see kind of the low-grade wild kind of spotted red ones. And then we see the sakura or painted fire, as they're often called, very, very red ones, or the Bloody Marys that we talked about, which actually came over here from the wild chocolate or brown color line. So this color line that we thought Davidi and Palmata were the majority of all of our shrimp, turns out there are more from mainland China from the Zangzengensis line of Neocaridina shrimp as well. And people had been cutting in to the genetic pools that you see here and trying if they found a wild type that was completely free of, for instance, yellow pigment anywhere on its body when they looked under the microscope. Then they might try crossing it into, say, a blue line and assuming that that would help make the blue that much bluer because there was no gene for yellow there that could dilute it. Or, for instance, no gene for another color that may compete. So with this known, there are a few different patterns that emerge over time, and we kind of started to see that every single one of these colors, with the exception of pink and purple, can be made. So just about any color of the rainbow can be made, with the exception of pink or purple. And only recently, through the brown and choco or chocolate lines, have we seen the new onyx line in the last 5 years. And that gives us hope that perhaps there are some metallic looking color lines out there still, like silver or steel or metal, like we see in some of the Caridina lines that currently exist. If those are to come out in the next few years, they will likely be coming out from these very closely genetically similar to the wild lines, like the deep chocolate ones, the onyx, the blue diamond, carbon really, chocolate really, or Shoko really. Those are the ones that for a long time kind of were overlooked, but it turns out they are packing on the pigment. And as we've gotten to understand shrimp more and more, we've realized that this section of the chart holds a lot of potential, because brown and the natural colors that these shrimp use for camouflage, brown, yellowish brown, greenish brown, those kind of natural tan colors and things, they actually hold almost all the colors of the rainbow in small concentration, in small pigment nodes. And because of this, they can be selected for and brought out over time if you have a large enough colony of them and you are careful enough with doing this. So if you're familiar with this chart, let me show you the 2025 update to this chart that really shows us what the full potential we understand at this moment is. Because here we see we've got the Rileys and the Rileys, and we don't really have some of the color patterns and things that we see currently in the hobby that you've already seen in this video earlier. So let's bring it full forward to today. All right, so here we are looking at a chart that I have created showing the newest modifications to the existing chart. And right here, we've got the 2025, and some of these occurred 5, 6, 7 years ago when breeders were first playing with them, like the onyx color or some of the metal colors that people have claimed. People have said, oh, I have a bronze or I have a brass Neocaridina. It's usually a chocolate or a Shoko with some hint of maybe yellow or orange or something like that. Onyx is red with a hint of chocolate and black, basically. Now, the other really big changes that have gone on in the Neocaridina world are the wild use of those palmadas that we saw off to the side here that had the colors like the aurora blue, the white pearl, the blue pearl. Those we're starting to see colors like the jelly colors and the aurora colors, sometimes called gem colors, and you'll see things like purple or pink or subtle colors that are pastel that we never saw before. And they kind of are starting to be passed down more and more consistently. So there's some hope that this may be an entire lineage that stabilizes out as more and more people keep breeding these and selecting harder and harder until, you know, you're culling something like 9 out of 10 shrimp, but you're getting a really high quality line at the end of the day. Now, another thing that we really didn't see prior in the Caridina, Neocaridina split was we didn't see any Neocaridinas that could hold 2 different colors and have several patterns, one in one color, one in another, like the fishbone pattern or the boa pattern, things like that. In Caridina shrimp, we see all sorts of beautiful swirling colors. However, thus far, they usually only last one individual or one generation that was across from somewhere across the chart here that doesn't flow. Whereas you can always cross something from lower in the chart with something semi-recently a step or 2 away, and it will usually either revert to one of those steps nearby, or it will cross and make something kind of funky that is a mix of the two, but then its genes won't pass on after that. Now, the exception to that we're seeing is in the reds and the yellows. We're really seeing some beautiful calico, as they're being called, or sun-kissed, tricolor even, some red, yellow, orange, sometimes even black colors that are staying multiple generations as this kind of powdered look. And that is an all new gene expression that we're seeing, which brings us hope that that could occur between any one of the lines in the line if you follow it up where it came from. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that this blue line goes to the chocolate line, goes to the brown line, goes to the wild line. So this blue might have a counterpart that has a little bit of the Bloody Mary and a little bit of the brown and a little bit of the wild brown or chocolate or onyx color. So you might get an onyx and light blue being possible one day, or a blue and black which we are starting to see now more and more in the Riley or Riley group. We see that black carbon, and we also see the Riley or Riley blue with dark blue, light blue, and black in different combinations. Now, all that being said, the two places we saw hints of this before that I've included on this chart are the gold line or the back line, sometimes called a razorback or a skeleton or a herringbone, and that shows up in the gold and the green or jade or emerald shrimp quite a bit. Almost all the greens used to have this quote-unquote problem where they'd either show a yellow line, an orange line, or a brown line from somewhere in their genetic past. And now we see yellows that are kind of desired that way, where some people want a gold line yellow sakura, others want an orange sakura with a brighter yellow line on it, and that is a desired trait, and that line seems to be an inheritable trait that passes on to its young. Not to all of its young, but to at least 50%. And if you can get it to 50% of the young, then that's something you can work with in this hobby. Now, the last one and the biggest news of all is really talking about the eye color in the Neocaridinas. That's the big game changer. We've been knowing that these colors would probably come out eventually. Yeah, maybe purple would come out eventually. Green took forever to stabilize. Maybe purple's just taking its sweet time. Same with some of the pastel tones and things. And with the bicolors that are from different sides of the chart, so a green mixed with a blue bicolor, now we're even starting to see like blue and green emerald shrimp, where they have kind of spots of blue and spots of green, whereas before you were getting more orange and yellow showing up in green, which seemed very strange to us 10 years ago. But now that we have this all genetically mapped and phenotypically mapped, we can more accurately predict what's going to happen. And the eye trait happens to be completely independent of all these other traits, from color to the back stripe to anything, the legs being colored, the antennas being colored. And it appears as though white is a color that shows up. There's also Michael Haesler's yellow and orange, or demon eye, as he calls it, that he has independently bred onto a number of different shrimp. And it appears as though that will be able to be bred onto any number of these eventually, because it can hide a recessive generation. So even if the parents don't have the yellow eyes, you can take a yellow eye grandparent on either side and cross that with the color you want for the next generation down. And by that third generation, you can start crossing back yellow eyes again and trying to bring that out. And they've done that, and that's how they've gotten the black yellow eyes and so forth. So overall, we have a lot of places to go in this new and exciting future of the hobby. I want to know what colors you would like to cross and what patterns you would like to see from other shrimp species, or from Neocaridina for that matter. What are you hoping to see, wanting to see? What are you working on? And what did I miss in this episode? I can't do this stuff without you guys, and it is the members of this channel and the people who support this channel and all the time it takes me to research and email people like Chris Lukhaup and like Rare Shrimp, like Grant Eder, and all sorts of folks that I consulted for this video and who so kindly let me use their imagery. I couldn't do it without all of you and all of the incredible aquarists in this community. So thank you so much. If you haven't yet and you like this episode, please hit that like button on your way out and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time on FISHTORY.